Hello gorgy people, it is officially August and that means it's time to plan my reading. For the last couple of months, I haven't been actually physically planning out a TBR, and I used to do this every single month. I'd go to my shelves, I'd pick out specific books for different reasons, and then I would follow that TBR more or less throughout the month. I have not been doing that, and my reading has been a little bit chaotic, so I feel like I really want to get back into doing it and getting organized with my reading again. So for some added accountability today, you are coming along with me as we are planning my reading for the month of August. As usual, I have a few different categories that I like to hit. We have book club things, we have other reading goals that I want to make sure that I'm still hitting every single month. So we are going to build the list and build the stack of books today together and pick out all the books I'm going to be reading in August. I hope this inspires you as well. It's really fun to kind of get organized in this way about reading. I know not everyone likes to build a TBR, but even if you're a mood reader, I think having a list to choose from makes it so much easier when you go and when you finished a book to pick up the next one and just to kind of have a smaller stack so you don't get overwhelmed. So let's jump right in and we will be going through these shelves behind me because that's my TBR. So the first thing we need to discuss is book club books. I'm in a couple of different book clubs and so I want to make sure that I've got these books on the list for the month. We have one book club book that I'm already currently reading. This is for my friend book club and we are reading The Familiar. I'm already about 20% through, but I need to make sure I read it this month because we'll be meeting up to talk about it very soon. So that is the first book on the stack. The next book I actually need to add, I do not own yet, so I need to buy it, but it's for the Reading Around the World book club. So if you're in that book club, you already know that the book that we've chosen to do for the month of August is for Costa Rica, and the book that we're going to be reading is Where There Was Fire. So I'm going to be picking up this book at some point this weekend, and I will be reading it very, very soon. And then the other couple of books that I have to add are books that I have already been reading throughout the last couple of months. Namely, the biggest one is War and Peace. I am doing a reading vlog for my whole journey with reading this book, so bear in mind, like, I will be giving you my full thoughts in that vlog and my full journey of reading this book. As I'm filming this, I'm like almost 60% through this book, but this will be definitely finished in the next month, I hope. So that's going on the stack as well. And then finally, from last month, we have a book that I started. I only got a couple of percent into this one and didn't finish it, so I'll be adding it also to the stack. And it is The Children of Anguish and Anarchy. This is the final book in a series I've been reading for a long time, so need to be reading this one as well. That's also going on the stack. But after that, I now don't know what other books we're going to be adding and we need to build this list together. I have a few books for my 24 books I want to read in 2024 priority list. I'm starting to actually get a bit stressed about that list because there's 24 books on there. I've currently only read 10 of them and a lot of the ones that are still on that list are really long books, so I'm very nervous about it and I want to add a couple to this stack from that list. And I do own some, so let's check it out. So here's the TBR, although it also goes down here, very messy, and some of these are also TBR. One book that I know that I want to prioritize that's on my 24 priority list is The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. This one I just really want to read and I've wanted to read for ages, and so I feel like I really need to prioritize it. I've also been on a bit of a non-fiction hype lately, so this will be really fun. This is a memoir and I've been told it's very similar to Educated, which I also loved. So let's put this on the stack. So that's going on there. I do also have two other books that I don't own physically that I know I'm going to try and read this month. One is the next Wheel of Time book. I've been doing really well with that lately and I'm up to book number 13 and I know that's going to come in on my library soon. So that's going on my list, but I'm not going to be able to physically put it on my stack. And then the other book is another non-fiction that I've been meaning to read for so long, and it's also very long, but I'm reading that on my Kindle, and it's called Debt: The First 5,000 Years. I've heard amazing things about this book and I'm in like a non-fiction mood lately. I'm really in the mood to like really learn something and engage my brain, and this is all about debt and capitalism, and kind of the author goes through the explanation of how we've got to the position that the world is in right now. So I'm very excited about that one, although I am nervous. So they're going on my list, but I don't own it physically. Although I would love to own this book, but it's like 50 quid or something. Like it's crazy expensive. So I'm going to try and find it secondhand somewhere because I feel like I'm going to love it. So other than those books, I'm just going to have a little like scan through and see what's jumping out at me. I'm obviously really enjoying my Kazuo Ishiguro kind of challenge where I've been reading every single book he's ever written. So maybe I'll pick one of these two as well. These are both on my 24 priority reads list, but they're really big and I'm kind of nervous because I'm also doing War and Peace and Wheel of Time, and I'm worried I don't want to add another huge book on this list. But maybe I could add this tiny little book. That'll be like a nice win for me. And I do really like Claire Keegan. So I think I'm going to add this. That's going there. A few of these books have just been on my TBR for so long. Like this one in particular. I don't think I'm going to love it. But maybe I should just read the first bit of it and then DNF it and then kind of like get it out off my TBR. So I might add this to the stack as well. I don't think I'm going to like it. So I kind of want to just like make a decision about it. We'll add that there. Here are some newer books. I've obviously been loving this author lately, so this will be quite good to read as well. And I'm really excited about this one, Pink Slime. Maybe I will add this one actually. I just really want to read it. I talked about this book in my most recent haul video that I will tag somewhere in the corner here. But this is kind of a dystopian book from a Uruguayan author, and it just sounds right up my alley. So this one's also going on the stack. It's already quite big. But I have already started both of these, so like, you know, it's not actually too big. Okay, so on further consideration, I actually am going to pick up one of these two. I don't know which one. Maybe I'll just pick the shorter one, although they both look pretty short. Okay, so after looking at both of them, I think I'm going to do this one because I believe it's his debut. Yeah, so I think that'll be fun to read to compare to his later works as well. So I'm going to add this. We have a bit of a pretty pink theme going on. That's kind of fun. Forgot to look down here. Nothing's jumping out at me other than these two actually. This is kind of a cozy fantasy, and then this is a non-fiction by Sophie Hagen. Maybe. Let me just write this out as a list though, and then I'm gonna see how long it looks, because obviously I've got some on my Kindle, and I need to check my library holds as well because I don't want to add too many to this list. Okay, so this is how the list is looking right now. These are some book club books, some from last month. We also have the 24 and 24, there's 3 there. And then I've got my Reading Around the World one, and then a couple of others. So that doesn't look too bad to me. Everything in italics I've already started, so I should technically make that italics as well. I have started it. So I think I can add a couple more. I'm sorry that I look so sweaty today. It's so hot in here. Like, I'm like actually dying. Should not be filming today, but anyway, I have just checked my library holds and I have a couple of others that I kind of might want to add. So one, I have the ebook for Red Sister coming in, and that is also on my 24 reads in 2024 list. I need to think of a better way of saying that. That'll be a good one to also like tick another one off that list. And also I had on my Libby, I don't yet have it, but it's going to come in a couple of weeks, and I do have the physical book as well. So basically The Name of the Rose is the one that is coming on as an audiobook to my Libby quite soon, so I could add this to my stack and then read it and listen to it as an audiobook. But I'm not sure, is this too many books? This might be too many books. I might be being too ambitious, but usually that's what helps me, is like when I'm too ambitious and have too many books there, it actually really helps me and motivates me to kind of get through them. And I also have more option of like to choose between them, so I never get like very stuck. But let's run through what we've picked up so far. Okay, so I think that's like a big enough stack of books. I don't want to stress myself out too much. So we've gone through why I'm picking up these books. Let me go through and tell you a little bit about the books themselves as well. Let's go in reverse order of how I picked them out, because that's what the stack is doing and I'm not going to rearrange them. I'm too hot to barely move and I have to turn my fan off to film this video, and the pressure's getting to me. So the first, or the last book we decided to add to the TBR is The Name of the Rose. This is a classic Italian book and it is set in medieval times. So this is set in 1327. A man arrives at this abbey to visit, but basically his visit is overshadowed by a series of very bizarre deaths, and he then turns detective and tries to figure out what the hell's happening at this abbey. I've heard amazing things about this one. I think it might be a little slow, but it sounds very interesting as well. And I've also heard amazing things about this author, Umberto Eco, is that how you say his name? I think listening to the audiobook and reading it physically will help me get through this book. So it's one of those ones that I know I'm gonna like, probably, and I've just been putting off reading it because I'm intimidated for some reason, but that's the first one on the stack. Next up we have A Pale View of Hills by Kazuo Ishiguro. Like I said, this is his debut book. So this was published in the 80s, and it tells a story about a Japanese woman who is living in England, and she is grieving the recent suicide of her daughter. But I think actually this book is her recalling memories of her time in Japan, with her and her friends trying to like rebuild their life after the war, and in particular her friendship with a very strange, like once wealthy woman. I'm very excited about this. I always like Kazuo Ishiguro's books, even if they're not like my favorite stories. Like something about the way he tells them is always just like something I love, so I'm very excited. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna love that one. Next up we have Pink Slime. Talked about this recently in a haul. This is a book that I'm reading for my Reading Around the World challenge, and this is from a Uruguayan author, and it did win the National Literature Prize for Fiction. So this is all about a port city that is in complete ecological crisis. All the rich people have left to go inland, and everyone else is left to deal with the damage. Basically, there is this deadly red wind and all this poisonous algae that is infecting all of the water, and it's about this woman, and she has been tasked with looking after this young boy. This sounds right up my street. I love a dystopian, and I love this cover, and I'm very excited about this one. I've also heard some amazing reviews of this lately, so very excited to get to that one. Next up, I'm less excited, but I do just know I need to like read a bit of this and maybe DNF, or maybe just read the whole thing, we'll see. But that is Thoughtless by Lucy British. I was actually sent this by the publisher, but that was many months ago, and I have not picked it up since. But basically this is all about a girl called Susan, I believe, and she is not allowed to think, because if she has one thought, then her brain will explode. So her boyfriend and her family work together to keep her in blissful ignorance, and it sounds very silly and bizarre, but I don't know, like something about it, I just haven't been drawn to it. I think it's supposed to be kind of a dark comedy, and I'm sure it's got like a lot of kind of commentary on maybe social media or attention spans or something like that. That's the vibe I'm getting from this, but we shall see. Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. Next up we have another Claire Keegan. This is So Late in the Day, another one I got very recently, and I could probably read this in about 10 minutes because I think it's like 40 pages long. This is about a man, and he's getting home from work and he's reflecting on a past relationship that he's had. And I think that's all I know about it and all I want to know, because it's only 40 pages long, so I don't need to know any more. But she does write very, very beautifully, so I think this will be good. Next up, we have a non-fiction, The Glass Castle. I'm very excited about this one. I think it's been really compared to Educated, which I read last year and really liked. So it is a memoir about a deeply dysfunctional family, and I think her relationship with her alcoholic father. I think this is about the author and also her siblings as they kind of try and survive for themselves, because their mother was also a free spirit kind of character and didn't want to mother them, so they had to do it themselves. I think this will be sad, but I think it'll be really good, and I'm excited to read it. Next up, like I said, we have the final book in what's the actual series called? I actually can't remember, but the Children of Blood and Bone series. This one is the Children of Anguish and Anarchy. I have no idea how this is all going to end, because at the end of the second book, it was like very explosive ending, and also like the trajectory of where I thought it was going completely changed. So I have no idea how it's all going to tie up. I hope it ties up well, but we shall see. This is a young adult fantasy series based around, I think, Nigerian folklore, and it is all about a girl who is trying to bring back magic and take down a corrupt government, and it's very, very fun. Next up, of course, we have War and Peace. This is a classic, Russian classic by Leo Tolstoy, and it is about war and peace, and I'm going to save my thoughts on this one because I have a whole vlog coming, so I hope you're excited for that, because I've been filming it for literally 2 months. And then final for the physical stack, we have The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo, and I'm really excited about this one. This is kind of a historical fantasy. It's set in Madrid, and you're following a servant who has to serve this like very strict and exacting woman who wants to have more power than she does have. She lives in this crumbling house in a loveless marriage, and she kind of takes it out on her servant. The servant girl has little bits of magic to help her get through the day. It can like fix burnt bread, make things clean that were dirty, but then one day she gets caught and the woman that she works for sees an opportunity to try and gain some power and some notoriety by using her servant to kind of put on little shows for the rich and the powerful. I'm about 20% through this book already and I'm really liking it. I like Leigh Bardugo's writing, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to enjoy this one. So next up, our book club book for the month of August is Where There Was Fire, and like I said, this is our pick for Costa Rica. So this book is all about this plantation that had this deadly fire and it was massively covered up, and then you're following 27 years later the people who are really affected by this fire, and there's a kind of deadly family secret. It's been told to be like lush and atmospheric. I'm very excited about it, and I think this one has won a few awards as well, and this is a debut book. Next up we have Debt, the First 5,000 Years. I said this one a little bit already. This is about debt, where it came from, how it was kind of artificially created. It's about capitalism and just the state of the world, and I'm really, really excited about it, even though it's about 500 pages long and it's going to be dense with economics, but I'm excited to learn. And then after that I have book number 13 in the Wheel of Time. So I'm on book number 13 out of 14 books. I've been reading this series for so many years and I'm finally getting to the end, and I'm also really, really enjoying it. I've just realized I forgot to talk about the book number 12 in my last video. I just did a reading wrap up where I was talking about other books I've recently read, and I did not talk about book number 12, which is so annoying because I wanted to say I was so surprised by how much I enjoyed it. It's the first book I've ever considered for a Wheel of Time giving it 5 stars. I didn't give it 5 stars, but I really, really considered it. This is an epic, huge, long fantasy series. It's classic fantasy, a quest story. It's very hard to explain because it's so many books, but it is about a world where a wheel of time turns and fates are interwoven, and it's about a group of people who are trying to save the world. So I believe that is all of the books that I'm going to be trying to read in August. Let me know if you have read any of these books. Let me know if you want to read any of these books in August. We could read them together. If you're in the book club, I do hope you will be reading the Costa Rican book with me, but let me know if you want to read any of the other ones with me as well. But thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you go and like and subscribe and go and watch all of my other videos, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!